Hello everybody, welcome again to our program. We're so glad to be here this afternoon. Today is an honor for us to have our Reverend Ashley Sanders from the Family Voice Australia. Reverend Sanders, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be with you.
We want to know, who is Reverend Sanders? How did you come to know the Lord Jesus Christ? So tell us a bit about you. Yeah.
I stand here in a sense because of the courage of a young 16-year-old Australian girl who, when she met a Welsh sailor who walked into a shop where she was working and he asked her out, she said, "I will go out with you if you come to church with me." And she must have been a looker, because my dad said yes and kept on saying yes. What was happening was that my grandmother, my mother's mother, was dying of cancer. And during the period that Mum and Dad were starting to date, and Dad was going to church with her and Youth for Christ and other Christian events, my grandmother died. And my dad from Wales, who had seen death in his own family, saw something of the Christian hope. Paul wrote to the church in Thessalonica and said, "We don't grieve as those without hope." And my dad saw something of that, and my grandfather, my mum's dad, led my dad to the Lord. And they were then married, and they've had 63 years of marriage. Wow. I was raised by Christian parents and came under the gospel, and when I was 8, I was moved as an 8-year-old. I remember being in tears as the appeal was made, and I knew that Jesus Christ loves me, that he had died for me, that sin is so terrible that God sent his Son, and I gave my heart to Jesus, and that was nearly 50 years ago.
Wow, hallelujah. What a testimony. So there is power in the name of Jesus.
There is.
Wow. Reverend Sanders, tell us a little bit about your family and how the Lord has led you, because you're doing an amazing work in Australia, going around state to state and talking about family issues. So tell us about your family.
Family is very important to me. Yes. By the time I was 10, I had 3 ambitions in life. One was to be a dad. There was something about my dad, and there was something about my mum's dad, the only grandparent I ever knew. There was something about those men that really deeply impacted me. When my grandfather died when I was 11, I was just so grieving. By the time I was 10, I wanted to be a dad. I wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't know any lawyers. We didn't have a television. I'd never seen a lawyer show on television. I just knew that I wanted to be a lawyer, and I wanted to be a politician. Wow. And so that was, I guess, something that was put in my heart by the time I was 10. I'm married to Lindsay. We have 4 children, and I've served as a lawyer. I've been an elected alderman on Newcastle Council. I've served at a state level for one of our major political parties. And I've also been the pastor of 2 Baptist churches, and then in December of last year, with a background in law and politics and pastoring, I was heading up Family Voice Australia, an organisation that deals with law and politics and church.
Amen, amen. Wonderful. Hallelujah. Amen. Reverend Sanders, your testimony is so captivating. And there are people who are watching us now, listening and saying, you know what? God is no longer able. I mean, the God you talk about is a long time and is gone dead. Is God still able to save a drug dealer, a thief, an armed robber? Can God change their lives?
I want to say God is active today. One of the things is that people say, "Where is God?"
Yes.
And I want you here to be encouraged. I want